Welcome to this week's Eternal Monday, where Regigigas from Astral Radiance takes on Turbo Iron Hands from Paradox Rift. Today's video comes from the in real life Eternal format tournament that took place in April of 2024 at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch, here in San Antonio, Texas. If you're new here, you might be wondering what the heck even is the Eternal format. In short, it is the unlimited format with a ban list. So this means the format features cards from the original base set all the way through to the most recent tournament legal set. Although it's an unofficial format, it's an incredibly fun format with a lot of rich deck building and gameplay experience to be had. If you're interested in learning more about the Eternal format, you can do so at justinbasil.com/eternal. The first deck we'll be looking at here is Regigigas from Astral Radiance. If you've played this deck in the standard format or if you've seen it before in the Eternal format, you'll get the general idea for how it works. Basically, you need to get each of the Regis in play so that you can activate the ability that Regigigas has, which allows it to accelerate energy from your discard pile onto your Pokemon in play. So that's going to be Regigigas' Ancient Wisdom ability, which lets you attach up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon in play. Now, typically in the standard format, at least right now, there's no way to have more than a bench of 5 Pokemon, which means that in standard at the very least, you can't do anything but attach energy to one of the other Regis. However, in both the expanded and the Eternal formats, you have access to Skyfield, which lets you expand your bench all the way out to 8 Pokemon. This lets you use some very interesting attackers like the Yveltal from Shining Fates. Yveltal has an attack called Amazing Destruction, which for fire, psychic, darkness, and 2 colorless energies does an instant knockout on your opponent's Pokemon, which is pretty strong if you're worried about big Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field. You also have Giratina EX. Giratina EX's Chaos Wheel attack does 100 damage and prevents your opponent from playing any tool, special energy, or stadium cards from their hand during their turn. You also have Naganadel and Guzzlord GX, which has the attack Chaotic Order GX, which for a single colorless energy tells you to turn all of your prize cards face up. Those prize cards will remain face up for the rest of the game, and if this Pokemon has at least 1 extra psychic and 1 extra darkness energy attached to it, that's in addition to paying the attack's cost, you take 2 of those prize cards. So this can be an instant win button late game, or can get you started in your prize taking earlier on. For draw, you have the Roxy engine, which involves 2 copies of Propagate Execute and Roxy herself. Roxy lets you discard up to 2 Pokemon that are not GX or EX, and then draw 3 cards for each of those Pokemon you've discarded. Propagation Execute is not a Pokemon EX or a Pokemon GX, so if you discard both of them, which you can get back with the Propagation ability, you just are instantly getting a draw 6 off of Roxy, which is pretty good. The only thing is that particular Propagation ability is an ability, which means that if something like Garbotoxin comes out, it will sort of ruin your day, because you will no longer have access to Propagation and won't be able to get Execute out of the discard pile to draw cards. Otherwise, you're attacking with the Regis or with those alternate attackers, doing damage, often hitting for weakness, sometimes not, but for the most part, your deck is very single prize focused, so you're just kind of making things rough for your opponent. That is the basics of Regigigas. So if Regigigas is complex and has a fair number of moving parts, Turbo Miraidon with Iron Hands EX, or more accurately Turbo Iron Hands EX, is just a menace of doing everything quickly. The only real things you need to worry about are Iron Hands itself, which you can get at with things like Ultra Ball and the Tandem Unit ability on Miraidon EX, and then Energy, which you can do a number of ways, including Electric Generator. Play your Electric Generators, get 2 energy off the top of your deck, attach them to your Pokemon, play Max Elixir, get an energy off the top of your deck, put it on one of your Pokemon, get lots of energy in play, including with Tapu Koko's Dance of the Ancients, which lets you grab 2 lightning energy from your discard pile and attach one of those energy to each of 2 of your benched Pokemon, and then send Tapu Koko Prism Star to the Lost Zone. The only other thing really of note in this deck is Thunder Mountain Prism Star, which reduces the attack cost of lightning Pokemon by 1 lightning energy. All in all, your goal with this deck is to get Iron Hands EX powered up extraordinarily quickly, attack to do respectable damage with Amp You Very Much, and take additional prize cards when you do. Our players have flipped their starts. We got a Regidrago on the left for the Regigigas player, playing down a Regieleki. Tapu Koko Prism Star start on the side of the Turbo Iron Hands player. That is a bad starting Pokemon for Turbo Iron Hands. Unfortunately, that's one of the worst possible starters you can have for that deck. The deck does run Flowstone. It also does run U-Turn Ward, both of which can help him get out of the situation here. But you really don't want to start Koko if you can avoid it. Unfortunately, its ability does not activate from the active spot, so it really does need to be on the bench. Pretty good setup here from Regigigas, getting most of the Regis out here on the very first turn, just missing Regigigas itself. That Regirock is going to prove quite fatal to Miraidon and Iron Hands over the course of this game. See a discarding of a Lightning Energy. Miraidon itself comes down. Gonna use Gonna use Tandem Unit to grab another Miraidon and an Iron Hands. Kind of searching out their price cards, seeing what else is in the deck and what is not. Those first deck searches, you always gotta be careful. We are gonna get a Raikou V off that second Miraidon. And another Raikou V. So we've fully filled our bench now with lots of lightning type Pokemon, including 2 Raikou. It was a pretty good attacker early game. All right, we're going to see a Max Elixir. Got an energy right off the top there. 4 energy off of that Max Elixir possible. Unfortunately, Max Elixir only allows you to attach 1 of those energy. So, sad face. One of those energies still good. Went on to the Iron Hands. We do see a Floatstone in hand, so the Coco is not going to be the worst here. Do you see a Research, discarding the rest of that hand for 7 fresh cards? Another Max Elixir coming down. Already a hit. Got a second energy on that Iron Hands. I see energy in hand, and I see a generator in hand too. So there's an experience share going down on that Raikou V on the bench, the regular art there. Electric generator finding just one energy. That is unfortunate for this player, but that's still enough to attack with Iron Hands, because you just have the manual attachment and the electric generator. Choosing not to attach to the Iron Hands, realizing they're not going to do quite enough damage to knock out Regidrago here, so that may not be worth that energy attachment. Going instead with the Raikou V, sending the Typical Prism Star to the Lost Zone with Dance of the Ancients, and using it to attach a Lightning Energy both to the benched Raikou V and to the Iron Hands. And then we're going to use a quick ability there on the Raikou to draw a card. Going to take a knockout. Regidrago already going down pretty quick there. First blood has been drawn. Registeel going to the active spot. Trainer's Mail, looking at the top 4 cards of the deck. Battle Compressor is what is found. That is going to be excellent here. If our Regigigas player has a Versus Seeker or a Roxy in hand, this could be extremely good for draw. Battle Compressor is going to just find Roxy and the eggs. So we're going to see a discard of Aurora Energy for something else. You have to wonder what. Are they going to play the Lapras, perhaps? Try to find another Roxy? Nope. Going for Regidrago again, getting other Regidrago out. This is not the one that draws cards. I do know the Regigigas player was commenting about how they didn't actually want to play this one, but they didn't have a second copy of the Dragon Horde ability one. Versus Seeker, there we go. Versus Seeker's finding the Roxy there. The propagation ability is letting those executes come back to the hand, and then they're being discarded with the effect of Roxy. So it's just going to be a straight draw 6 for the Regigigas player, and they have now found Regigigas itself. That Battle Compressor is probably going to find some energies to attach, if I had to guess. We are discarding the Giratina EX and a Prism Energy. One more card could be discarded here if they so choose. It's already a double colorless energy in the discard pile to make it easy to attack. That's all they're going with, it looks like. Touching a Rescue Energy to Regirock. And then using Ancient Wisdom to attach both the Aurora Energy and that Prism Energy. Regirock now going to take out that Raikou for 2 prize cards. Experience Share activating and going to that benched Raikou V. Here our Iron Hands players having to make a tough decision about what to do next. They have to knock out this Regirock. It's got the energy attached to it, but that does leave the Regigigas in play and able to accelerate energy with that Ancient Wisdom ability. Unfortunately, the Iron Hands deck here is not running Lost City. There's no way for them to Lost Zone this Regirock easily. They could get rid of Regirock, they could maybe stand a better chance. Arven is the supporter of choice this turn. Arven going to find an item and a tool card. Prime Catcher is the item. Prime Catcher very good. Wishful Baton also extraordinarily good, especially in this deck. For our Miraidon player, you're going to be able to throw that on a Pokemon like Iron Hands and then use that to move energy when it's knocked out to a different Pokemon and move up to 3 energy. So we do see the 4th energy come down on Miraidon. Pretty good stuff. The interesting Prime Catcher taking the knockout here on the Regice. Regice apparently feeling like the biggest threat at this point. Gonna take 2 prize cards off of the Amp You Very Much there. Amp You Very Much. Alright, so Regirock still a threat. Still could most likely one-shot, probably easily one-shot at that. The Iron Hands. You see another use of Roxy here with that Eggs Engine, drawing 6 new cards. Skyfield now in play. The bench size now could go all the way up to 8. The Regirock player, or Regigigas player rather, is playing Challenge, which is a very peculiar card that lets you basically ask your opponent if they want to let both players fill their bench with Pokemon. And if they choose not to let that happen, the player who played Challenge gets to draw 2 cards. So you'll see there the player on the side with Iron Hands chose not to let the Regigigas player fill their bench. So the Regigigas player drew 2 cards instead. We see another challenge come down off of his trainer's mail. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this Regigigas deck plays 3 copies of challenge because even if it's not necessarily something your opponent's willing to accept, it is going to draw you cards, and it's an item, so it's pretty good. So 2 more drawn cards off of the second challenge there. Radiant Greninja comes down. So they're discarding that Aurora energy for a little bit of additional draw off of concealed cards. Regice also now down. All of the Regis are once again in play. Rescue Stretcher finding Yveltal. Yveltal, quite a threat. Although probably not strictly necessary right this moment. Wishful Baton, a great candidate for being hit with a Lost Vacuum. Hopefully our Regigigas player can find a Lost Vacuum. Getting that energy out of play would be really good. Although, to be fair, the experience share also kind of a sad face at the moment. A simple Field Blower would do wonders at the moment. Choosing to go in with Yveltal, they've attached all that energy with Ancient Wisdom. I'm just going to take a big KO here off of that Iron Hands. Regigigas player now down to 2 prize cards. Our Iron Hands player is down to 3. First attachment going down onto that benched Miraidon EX. And it's an Ino. Ino going to draw the Miraidon and Iron Hands player 3 cards, and the Regigigas player just 2. Unfortunately for this Regigigas player, they do not have any real way to draw cards on board except for Radiant Greninja, which means they're going to have to hope that they drew into an energy to draw additional cards. And that's a scoop. Our Iron Hands player has decided that they cannot keep up. Even with the Yveltal gone, even with the Yveltal knocked out, that Regirock is just going to come right back into the active spot and knock out whatever knocks out the Yveltal. So there is, unfortunately, no way for them to take that game. Iron Hands, the great sinister evil that infects all the formats it's in at the moment, has been defeated by a lowly Regigigas deck. That's all for today's game. Pretty fun one. Nice to see Regigigas back in the saddle. Been away for a little while. Now we just gotta wait to see if Bayonet can make a comeback or Ultra Necrozma can make a comeback. These were once the boogeymen of the Eternal format, and they've kind of been taking extended naps for a while at the moment. Bayonet got targeted very, very heavily after it had a lot of success toward the beginning of the in real life Eternal format tournaments. So it's been a struggle for Bennett, especially Bennett Vileplume, to see success. But again, that's all for the game today. If you happen to find yourself in the San Antonio area on May 11th, you can join us at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch for the next in real life Eternal format tournament. Registration and deck validation begin at 11 a.m. with round 1 scheduled to start at approximately noon. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.